Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of The Witching Hour, my brand new Facebook Live show. Just going to turn myself off on the other screen. Just going to turn myself off on the other screen. Just going to turn myself off on the other screen. There we go. Thank you for joining me here this evening. A little introduction, just as this is the first episode and some of you won't know who I am. So my name is Sarah Kerr. I'm a witch from Derbyshire in the UK, right in the centre of the country. I've been a witch since I was 16 years of age. So that is now 27 years. Oh my word, I feel old. I'm also a healer. And I've been a healer for between 17 and 18 years, somewhere like that. I'm a mum and a wife. I have 4 beautiful children. I look after them here at home. I homeschool, and we have a great amount of fun out exploring nature and various other wonderful, magical things. I'm also president of the Pagan Federation, and I'm a passionate advocate for all those people, especially pagans and witches and heathens and all the people who find themselves underneath the pagan umbrella. I'm a staunch advocate for their rights. They've been maligned for too long now, and it's time that society accepted that we're not bad people. So why am I doing this? Why have I launched this little show for you? Well, I'm about to launch a load of new services, courses and memberships and all sorts of wonderful things that I'm really excited to get sharing with you. And this is my way of giving back to those people who buy my services and support me. So this is a nice little free thing that anyone can enjoy, and I'm loving doing the research for it. It's going to be epic as the weeks go by, so I do hope you enjoy. Please do leave me any comments or feedback in the comments, and I will be answering your questions later. So what have we got coming up tonight? So we've got 3 parts for the show tonight. The first one is a discussion on what magic is, and I do mean magic in terms of I suppose supernatural magic almost. Definitely not the kind that you see on the silver screen. Hi Lisa, hi Marion, thank you for joining us. And we'll be talking about what it isn't as well, and then we'll be doing a little review. Today it's the Old Ways Magical Oracle by Naomi Cornack. I was gifted this beautiful deck last weekend, and I think I've fallen just a little bit in love. And then last off, I'll be answering the questions that have come in over this last week. We've got some very interesting questions tonight, and I hope you'll enjoy the answers. Next week, we'll have a guest on the show, Chrissy Elliott. I'll tell you all about her later. Just for the moment, I hope you enjoy this evening. So to the first part of our little show. So the thing that I want to really explore tonight, as it's the first show, is what is magic? I put a post out on Facebook a few weeks, almost a few months ago now, asking people what first came into their mind when you said the word magic, and the response was immense. There were lots of different people with lots of different ideas. I'm just going to read you some of their answers now, and then we're going to talk about some of them in just a couple of minutes, if I can find them. My bookmark has fallen out. That's not good for show 1, is it? Anyway, so a few of the answers that we got, that I got, were quite exciting, and some were a little bit weird. So some of the answers that I got were magic. When you talk about magic, the first thing I think about is me. That's quite a deep answer. And we'll explore that in a little while. Someone was talking about the limitations of language, Mother Earth, life and nature. Big business now, is it? I think it is, but it's also a spiritual path. Someone else answered ritual. Someone else answered hard work. Someone else answered nothing is hidden. It's there to be explored. And then someone commented, exercising one's will to manifest change in the material world. There were an awful lot of answers. So drop in the comments now. What are your thoughts on what is magic? What is it to you? What do you think of when you hear that word? It's one to think about. So just drop in the comments for me your thoughts on that. What is magic to you? What does it mean in your world? To me, that exploration of the world, the whole magic of the natural world, and the fact that we're all connected and we're all reliant on each other, and we're all a part of that big circle of life, is magic in itself. But also that exercising of your will and making sure that you manifest what you want into your world, and how you want to live your life, that's also magic to me. But first of all, I'm going to talk about what magic isn't. There are two different kinds of magic in this world. There's the stuff that Hollywood shows us, the magicians, the tricks, the illusions, the stuff that you see on the big screen, or in a show on a stage. Yes, Marion, change made manifest. That's a great way of putting it. Yeah, I'll get to that in a little while. So for me, magic really isn't that whole big stage thing. It's certainly not what Hollywood shows it to be, where the impossible can be achieved with a wave of a wand. And I don't think it means that to a lot of other people as well. Certainly the answers that I was getting on that thread that I put out, although some people might associate Paul Daniels, Penn and Teller, that kind of thing with magic, the majority of people see it as something else, a natural force that is ours to tap into, that we can use to do something with our lives, and to help grow as people. And of course, yes, it is big business now. The growth of people, the amount of people finding witchcraft as a path to explore, as something that is becoming a part of their lives, is growing exponentially. And we see the rise of things like TikTok and Instagram witches. And it really is starting to become a little bit more mainstream. And there are, of course, a lot of people who are making money off the back of witchcraft. And while I don't inherently see a problem in that initially, it depends on their intent, I suppose, and what they're providing out there to the world. Does it mean something? Is it of value? Or are they just tapping into something so they can make a quick buck? That's a question to ask. And it's certainly a question to ask when you're looking at influencers and people on platforms like TikTok, Instagram and Facebook. Why are they doing this? Are they doing this because they're genuine? Are they doing this because they have knowledge to share and they want to share it with you? Or are they doing it because they see it as a means to further their own goals and aims? For me personally, it's all about the sharing of the knowledge. It's all about helping people to find their own path, to find their own magic in the world. And I know there's many other people like that out there, but there are certainly those who you want to keep your eye on that really don't have that intention in mind. Have any of you ever come across any of those people that that really aren't in it for the right reasons, that clearly are here just to try and make a quick buck off of people, maybe scam them a little bit? And they certainly arrive in people's DMs. I see a lot of people commenting about people sliding into the DMs or offering spells or rituals or readings because they can see something that is going to happen to them, and they make they thrive on people's worries and fears, saying that they can see something bad happening to them in the future, and then asking for money for payment for a reading. And anyone who's genuine would never ever do that. So what is it really then? what is magic? And I think Marion in the comments there has put it very well. Change made manifest. That is certainly one aspect of it. For me, the first part of magic is nature. It's being a part of it, it's communing with it, it's knowing that I'm connected to every other living thing out there, whether that's the big apple tree at the bottom of my garden, or the great oak in Sherwood Forest, or the fox that calls in the park in the middle of the night over the road from my house. It's about knowing that I'm part of that cycle, that I'm part of that world, that I'm integrated within it, and that I'm connected. And that's where magic starts for me. There's a lot that we can learn from the natural world as natural beings, as animals ourselves. We can learn a lot from it. I was on a Radio 5 show at the beginning of the week talking about crows and their behaviour and the myths and folklore around it that stem from that behaviour as well. And it was really interesting when I was doing the research for that show, just looking at how crows' behaviour can teach us certain things. So, for example, crows gather in groups. Not all the time, but typically they gather in groups because they know that community is key. And that cohesion between them allows them to survive, allows them to eat, allows them to feed their young, and it allows them to be safe. So they have something to teach us in terms of how we reach out to the people around us and how we're supported and how we can feel safe. But then they also have that aspect which they're well known for, which is being an omen of some kind of tragedy that might be heading our way, just because they will literally eat anything and are well known for being seen on battlefields. But then again, they're also monogamous birds, so we could learn a lot about how relationships are built and how they work and how we can do best for ourselves within that. So nature and our connection with it is a really big part of what magic is for me. The other thing that I wanted to pick up on here as well is intent and imagination, which is a really big part of magic for me as well. Being able to visualize what I want to achieve, being able to kind of create my world within my brain and be able to understand what it is that I'm trying to achieve and how I might achieve that. What ingredients do I need to put into the mixing pot to make that happen? Are there things that represent that to me? Is there some sort of connection with something else in nature that I can bring into that? What do I intend to happen? Being very specific with my wishes means that I can almost achieve anything, and particularly with the energy of the universe at my back. So a big part of that as well is intuition, and using our intuition to ensure that we're on the right path. We've all got this gut sense when we know something's right and when it isn't. And as human beings, we do have a tendency to kind of push it to one side sometimes and ignore it. And part of magic is about really learning to listen to it, even when it's telling you something that you don't want to hear. Sometimes it's a hard thing to do, but it's a really big part of what magic is for me. Being ourselves as well, being our authentic selves. If we want magic to work, if we want our creative selves to be able to put that message out there into the world, to be able to receive back what we're looking for, we have to be real with ourselves. We have to be understanding of where we're at and what we're wishing for and why we're wishing for it. So for me, that is also one of the complicated strands that makes it what magic is. And then, of course, someone else said extreme coincidence when I asked that question on my Facebook wall a few months back. Extreme coincidence. So what does that mean? Kind of means that fate is set, that our path is going to happen whatever we do. And I don't think I subscribe to that. I think there are certain times when our paths collide as they're meant to. But I don't think everything that we do is necessarily down to pure coincidence and fate and what fate has planned for us. So how can we use magic? Now we know what it might be. Now we know what it might feel like to us to be magical. How can we use it? What is it useful for? Well, the biggest part for me is about it making me a better person. Is about it teaching me things about myself, about the things that I really value, about my morals and ethics, about the things that I believe about the world. And that helps me to not only understand myself better, but understand the people around me better. So using magic to be able to understand myself is a big part of my practice. Using it to explore psychology and the way that my brain works and the way that that human beings work in general is a big part of my magical practice and a big part of what I do with it. I do use it to accomplish my goals. Absolutely. Of course I do. And that's what most people are drawn to when they come to magic, is that they're looking for some kind of way that will help them achieve the things that they want in life or that they think they want in life. And of course, then we come back to that point, that very, very good point, exercising one's will to manifest change in the world. Someone once said to me, is that not manipulation? Kind of, I suppose. Is all manipulation a bad thing? Now, there's a question. I think it comes back to that intent again. What we intend. Do we intend to manipulate energy within the world solely for our own purposes and for selfish reasons? Or to hurt someone, perhaps, to do someone some harm? Or are we intent on getting the best out of life, whatever that might be for us? Because as we all know, sometimes the things we get in life might not be what we want, but they're definitely what we need. So is manipulation the right word? I don't know. What do you think? And then we talk about willful transformation as well. And of course, when we're making ourselves better people, when we're looking at ourselves on a deep level, trying to understand ourselves and what we're trying to get out of this world, what we're really seeking is transformation for ourselves. And that being willful, that being foremost in our mind, and fully understanding what we're doing, is a huge part of a very sort of eyes open magical practice to me. It's about understanding that what you want in the world might not always be what you need, and being open to receiving that, being open to understand that you might not be asking for the thing that you need and that the universe might deliver it anyway. I'm just going to refresh. I can't see any comments coming up. Oh yeah, thank you, Lisa. I think manipulation is a hard word, although correct when the intention is not good. Yeah, I think we need a better word than manipulation. I think shaping, creating, they're better words. What would you use, Lisa? What would your better word be in that context? Just looking at the comments here. Nope, my screen's not refreshing. And of course, then that conversation brings us around to, should we use magic on other people? Well, that really is a really good ethical question, isn't it? Once we've got a grasp on what magic is and how we can use it and what it means to us in terms of personal practice, should we use it on others? And I think there's a conversation there to be had about responsibility and intent. Out there in the world, we're reliant on each other, and setting out to use magic on someone, and there's that word again, manipulation, to manipulate someone to bring something into their life or make them a certain way without their knowledge or without their consent. That really is an ethical problem, one that you should be considering before you carry out any act. Is that a right thing to do? Do you have their permission? Do you not? Are you doing it because you feel a certain way and you want that to change? Would a better way be to work on yourself? And again, that intent is really important here, although our intent doesn't matter when it comes down to affecting someone else's life. Whatever our intent is, if we cause damage to that person or we create some hardship in their life, then our intent actually doesn't matter, and it's the result of our actions that matters instead. And of course, this is a question that affects how we look at ourselves and the things that we value. Dry throat there, folks, just 1 minute. And we really have to look at our ethics and our moral standing on how we see these things. Sending someone healing when they're in a situation in hospital, for example, they're in a coma, and they've expressly said to you before, you know, I think healing's a good idea. Yes, please add me to your healing list. Yes, please. Can I come get on your couch? Someone that you know that is incredibly open to it. I think you can be fairly confident that sending them healing in that situation would be okay. However, if you've never had that conversation with someone and you don't know what their thoughts are on that, then I think that starts to get you onto some shaky ground. So it's the same thing with Magick. If someone has asked you to do something for them, then that's a different kettle of fish to if you're just deciding to do it for them without any consent or conversation around it. So let me know your thoughts here, folks. Drop them in the comments. What is Magick? How can we use it? What does it really, what does it mean to us? How does it help us shape our lives? And should we use it on others? And if we should, in what context? And if we shouldn't, why not? Do drop me your comments. We are going to take a quick break now for 2 minutes. And then when we come back, we'll be looking at Naomi Cornack's beautiful cards. I can't wait to show them to you. I shall see you in 2 minutes. Hi there and welcome back. Thank you for joining me tonight. I hope you're enjoying it so far. So this bit of the show, we're gonna do reviews. And that might be books or music, or like tonight we're doing oracle cards. It might be subscription boxes. It could be anything. So tonight we're going to review the wonderful Old Ways Magic Oracle by Naomi Cornack. I met Naomi at Pagan Fest in Glastonbury last weekend, and can I say what just a beautiful soul she is, and her artwork has always amazed me. I've followed her for quite a long time. So I feel really honoured to be sitting here tonight showing you her beautiful cards. So I'm just going to drop a link in the comments for you so that you can go and explore Naomi's art for yourself. Please enjoy her website. You can buy her cards there, and you can buy lots of her art and just discover her journey as an artist and creator. So I got my cards in a lovely little bag with a beautiful print of some fly agaric mushrooms. You can buy them from her website either with the bag or without. They're £25 for just the deck, and they're £27 with the bag, which is organic cotton. So the first thing that drew me to these cards is Naomi's art, which is just beautiful and amazing. It really speaks to me. It really connects us to nature and all the things that nature could teach us. There's 36 cards in the deck, and Naomi has written one of the most beautiful introductions I think I've ever read to a deck of oracle cards, which I'm just going to read for you now. I'm going to read some of it. So from Naomi: this oracle deck is my personal journey of discovery and healing, which has taught me how to live in harmony with nature through the seasons, following the wheel of the year. There is old wisdom and magic to be found in every rock, tree, bird, beast, and in every spring thaw, summer's day, and winter frost. It is living with the rhythms of nature that helps unlock the magic inside of us. I choose every card in the deck to reflect an aspect of nature and spirit which you may find reflected inside of you. Once you can recognize it in yourself, you can decide whether it will serve you now or hinder you. I work with this deck to assist in self-discovery and reflection, traveling labyrinths, the old past with the old ones, to learn the lessons ever deeper and deeper with each passing through the great wheel. She began, the deck begins with a card called Healing Spirits, which is the one on the front of the box. And as with many sacred journeys, it begins there with the ending of the long winter. Travels through the year, through the great circle of life, and unfolding from seed to blossom to leaf and back to seed again. And you end the journey steadfast at the base of a mighty oak. And I know Naomi absolutely loves when people enjoy her work, so I really hope you'll go and discover some for yourself once you've seen these beautiful cards. So like I said, there's 36 cards in the deck. The finish on the cards is beautiful. They're multi-textured. So there's a little bit, I don't know how to describe it actually. There's some parts of the cards like with Connect, which is this one here. And this part, the image part of the picture, is sort of a little bit textured, a little bit raised. And this part is beautifully smooth and soft, the white part around the card. So they're multi-textured and they're really, really tactile and beautiful to hold. So I'm just going to show you some examples of the imagery within it. So this is the card Freedom. And Lovers. I particularly like this one. This is Ground. And here's Journey's End. Look, at the base of a beautiful oak tree. And Naomi says on her website that you can use them the same as you can any other oracle deck. So you can pull a card a day, you could do a 3-card reading, you could do a layout or a spread. But I do like what she's written here in her book. And I've tried to work with the cards this week based on these 3 meanings that she imparts throughout the book to each of the cards. And I've loved working with them this week. They're fast becoming one of my favorite decks. And I can imagine them being used in conjunction with a deck of tarot or some other means of divination. So there are 3 potential interpretations for each card. The first is called Welcome, and it shows us how the energy can positively affect our life. So I'm just going to find the Healing Spirit card here, which is the beginning of the sacred journey. And I'm just going to read to you what it says in the book. So it says, find the quiet space inside you, hear your own truths, recognize that everything is connected, and you will not only heal yourself, but all the world around you. And the welcome meaning is it's a time for internal healing. Look inwards to prepare for a new journey to begin. But the card can also reveal a warning, if you will, possible negative influences. And for this card, it is about feeling unprepared and as if you lack the tools that you need to begin the journey. And then the last part, the third bit of the messages that you could get from this card is the essence, the wisdom of each card. But although there are those little clues for you there in the book, of course, I would say, and I'm sure Naomi would agree, it's highly intuitive when you use cards like this. What do they mean to you? And there's a great deal of meaning that you can gain from this deck of cards. They're so intricately drawn and are so beautiful. You could meditate on them for hours, quite literally. So what do I think to these cards? I think you can guess that I'm in love. I absolutely adore these cards. And I'm looking forward to working with them for many, many years to come. And I do hope that you like the look of them too, and that you will go and support Naomi's work. It's important now more than ever in the world that we support artists and their work, because they're giving us a little bit of their own magic there. Quite a lot of their own magic in Naomi's case. Absolutely beautiful, and her artwork is much the same. So I do hope you enjoyed that. Next week, we'll be reviewing a book by Lynn Bramwood on labyrinths and the use of labyrinths, which has been a very interesting read. So I hope you'll tune in for that. And as we move on to our final part of our first ever show, so I asked everyone to send me their questions about witchcraft. What would you like to ask a witch? And I got some great questions back. So the first question that I'm going to answer tonight is about what books have influenced my practice. Now, I'm a big reader, and there are lots of different books that have influenced my practice over the years. So it was a real struggle to kind of pull out of all the books that I've read, which ones have influenced my practice. But I've tried to reduce it down to those that were really influential at the beginning and those that have been influential over the last little while. So the first 3 books really that were really influential to me right when I was back starting my witchcraft journey when I was 16, and I'm 43 now, was I was passed a copy of The 8 Sabbats for Witches by Janet and Stuart Farrar. Up until the point of reading that book, I didn't know what I was, where I fit in the world. I didn't have the words, the language to describe how I felt and what I believed. And that book opened a door to a whole new world that described exactly who I was and what I believed. It was a real eye-opening experience, and of course that gave me a little bit of a hunger for more information, so I went looking. So the next book I read was Spiral Dance by Starhawk, which at the time was a very influential book for quite a lot of people, and certainly one of the ones that was on most people's reading list, and I think it's still quite a recommended one today, and so it should be. And the next book really was The Charge of the Goddess by Doreen Valiente, as well as The Book of Shadows by Phyllis Curott. Both of them showed me that there was real power in being a woman, in having divine feminine energy and using that not only to create, but to destroy and to shape my world. I didn't have to be nice and sweet. I could be everything that a woman was and not just those things. And that taught me so much. But more recently, I'm an eclectic witch, which means I draw into my practice the things that really speak to me. It doesn't really matter where those things are from or what tradition they might hail from. I respectfully call into my practice what it is that I'm drawn to. So one of the most recent additions to my understanding of the world, to the way that I see it and shape it, and that my practice is shaped, was a book by somebody who I'm now honoured to call friend, and that's Heathenry in the Sea by Dan Coultas. Really did give me a deeper insight into heathen practice and the ways that I could bring that into my own beliefs and into my own practices. And the final one, which is the most recent one that I've read actually, is called The Golden Bubble. And it was written largely by Jean Williams, who now has passed to the Summerlands, and edited and thankfully put together posthumously by the lovely Liz Wigglesworth. An absolutely great book. I highly recommend it to anyone who's new to the practice or who has been practicing witchcraft or paganism for a long time. It's really insightful, particularly for anyone who might want to run their own group. Not talking coven here, more an exploration of pagan and witchy beliefs and the effects that they have on us and our psychology and the way that we are. So they're the most influential books that I could pick out of all of them. And the most influential fiction book that I can come up with is actually a series, which is the Earth's Children series by Jean Owl. They really spoke to me when I was a girl. The main character's journey, in part, certainly mirrored my own, and her discovering this other world of magic and mystery within nature was a really big theme towards the end of the series that had me hooked and taught me so much about our roots as humans and about our humanity and how that really hasn't changed in hundreds of thousands of years. Our wants, our needs, the things that we thrive on are still the same even in our modern day. So they're the books I most highly recommend. Thank you, Hannah, for your question. So the next question that I got, which really made me think, was how do you know that you're a witch? I think the most important answer that I could give you is that I believe I am one, and so I am. But there's a few things that you might listen to that mean you are being called to recognize that within yourself. And there are certain sort of skills and abilities that make it more likely that you feel that calling, that pull. So here's just a few of those things for you. You might feel a close bond to nature and feel a real kinship with animals and trees and plants and just the natural world in general. You might have a deep belief in connection and energy, that everything in the world is connected, everything that is in the universe is connected even by energy that is life, and that we are all reliant and dependent on each other, and we are all capable of giving to each other and for sustaining life through that connection and that cycle. Another thing might be a good connection with your own intuition, a psychic awareness, if you will, a kind of knowing, an inner knowing, that gut feeling, and that I know it in my heart, you know, all those things that we might say about this kind of feeling. A naturalist, someone who will find witchcraft very easy, would have a psychic sense or a great intuition that they know that they can rely on and that they can trust. It is something that we can all develop, absolutely. But for someone who might be called to be a witch, it might be a little bit more prominent for them. And then, of course, divination abilities, not just the ability to use a pendulum or to scry into a crystal ball, but sort of the reading of symbols of nature. So understanding how nature works, some of the lessons that we can learn from what lives out in nature, and how we are as well. So that sense as well. Also, a person would be a great witch if they had that. But like I said at the beginning, the most important thing there is that you believe you are one. And as soon as I started reading about practices of witchcraft when I was just 16, I knew it. I knew it in my soul, and it was bone deep. It wasn't just something that I had a passing thought about. It was something that I knew was me. So really, that's the answer. You just know you are. So thank you for that question. And then I was also asked, what kinds of witches are there? I'm just going to go to the comments a minute before I answer this one, because Facebook isn't refreshing very often and I'm not seeing all of the comments that are coming up. So let me just have a quick look through. Marion, I am so glad you've ordered the set. They are gorgeous, aren't they? And she is super talented. They are stunning. Nick, you've got a set. Yes, absolutely. Please do start your journey. It's amazing. Oh, wow, Lisa. Yes, what you said there is exactly how I feel. Oh, welcome to the witchy fold, my darling. Oh, bless you too. Lily Lou, witchcraft saved your life. Yeah, I've got a couple of friends who would say a similar thing. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I might say that myself a few times through my life when life's been tough, and the journey's been harder than I thought I would make through. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the third question that I've got to answer tonight, what kinds of different witch are there? Well, my first question is, do we need to label it? But as human beings, of course, yes, we do. We need a label, and we need to be able to name it, to be able to understand it at a deeper level. So I've already said tonight that I'm an eclectic witch. I actually prefer the term intuitive witch. I rely on my intuition a lot. I rely on it to feed me information about the world outside of me as well as the world inside of me. And that is no different with what I bring into my witchcraft practice. So I prefer the term intuitive witch, but a lot of people understand eclectic a lot better. So there's lots of different kinds of witches, and if you go on Pinterest or Instagram or any of the other social media networks at the moment, there might seem to be sort of a million different types of witch. In fact, you could almost take any word and put it in front of witch and it would be a kind of witchcraft. But I'm going to talk about some of the other aspects of what kind of witch are you. So there are those who find their witchcraft practices more of a religion. That might be Wiccans, for example, who might be Gardnerian or Alexandrian, and a couple of other different traditions as well. And their practice is more like a religion than an intuitive witch like myself. I didn't used to work with deity at all until just a few years ago, when I was called by two deities in particular from very different pantheons. And they made their calling very loud, and I could not ignore it. So although it still isn't a religion for me, deity has become a part of my practice, but it doesn't make it a religious thing for me. And then, of course, you can be a witch without religion. You can be quite secular. You don't have to believe in deity. You don't have to necessarily believe in divinity, even in natural magic, more than anything. Then you can be a pagan witch, and a pagan witch really does focus very much on nature and the connections to the natural world. And then the other aspect of this is you might work in a group and you might work on your own. So you might be part of a coven, or you might be a solitary witch. Personally, I've always been a solitary witch. I enjoy group ritual. I enjoy meeting up with people to celebrate the Sabbats and the Asbats. But a lot of my work, my personal practice, I do on my own, and don't partake in groups for that. You can also be self-taught or taught. So you could be someone like myself who came to it all on her own and didn't really have anyone to teach her. And at that point in time in the 1990s, finding good teachers, finding groups, finding a few good mentors was a very difficult thing to do. We didn't have the internet, we didn't have that ease of communication and being able to find people. And it was still one of those things that was really hard to talk about in public forums unless you were certain of the people that were around you. So I've always been self-taught, but there are many options if you feel that you need teaching. So it might be that you find a mentor, or that you find a group, or that you, if you're short on time to be able to go out and do those things, that you work online and access online courses, which has really widened the amount of access that people have to these things. So there are so many different labels for different kinds of witches. You could be a green witch, a kitchen witch, a cottage witch, a hedge witch, a cosmic witch, a tech witch, an art witch, crystal witch, an elemental witch. There are so many different things. And I think if you're going to label it, make it one you're happy with. What makes sense for you? What do you want to call your witchcraft? What resonates? Just going to come back to the comments for a minute here. Even more. My comment feed isn't refreshing. I'm sorry, folks. Patchwork pagan. Oh, Hannah, please put in the comments what you feel that means to you. That would be great. Intuitive witch. Aha moment. Yes. Yes, Hannah. Yes, Hannah. I'd been on my path for a long time before deity came to me. I think there's a little bit of them that wanted to make sure that I was ready for it. Lily Mother Gaia, also Goddess Morrigan. Yeah, Morrigan is one for me. She called me in 2005 and kept calling until I listened. And now she's a huge part of my life. I even have a tattoo tribute to her on my forearm. Oh, great stuff, Lisa. Great stuff. Yes, Marianne, my craft is my lifestyle. It's a way of life. Absolutely. Yes, it's become a way of life for me too. It's in everything I do. I don't have to be in front of my altar to practice witchcraft. I can be stirring my cup of tea. I can be cleaning my house. I can be reading a book or doing my ironing or teaching my children or talking with friends. It's all integrated and a part of my life. So thank you for that question as well. So someone asked about effective grounding techniques. What are some effective grounding techniques? So I don't want to really mess up with lots of different tools and different things that you can use. So I'm going to answer this one really simply. Some really effective grounding techniques for you that you can access anywhere and don't really have to explain to anyone. So the first one for me is always to have something to eat or a drink. When your body is eating or drinking, it knows it is safe and present in this moment. And it really brings us straight to this moment right now and settles us on our foundation. So that's advice number one. Advice number two, stamp your feet on the ground. Wherever you are, feel your feet connected to the ground beneath you. Even if you're 20 stories up in the air, give your feet your whole attention and recognize that feeling of being connected to the earth. And here's one that you can do if you've got a few minutes and you can just be quiet and a little bit contemplative for a while. A great one is to grow a root. So what you do for this is you imagine a taproot, if you will, a little bit like a dandelion, I suppose is the key here. So you want a long, strong root that grows directly from the base of your spine right into the earth, and it goes deep so that it's firm and solid. And from that taproot, you can imagine little tiny roots, little shoots shooting out that enable you to stand firm. And even if you get blown about by whatever's happening to you, your root is firm and solid, and you can rely on it to keep you steady and present in this moment. So there's just a few little techniques for you. I am going to be releasing a masterclass on grounding because there's so much that we can go into about this. So let me know what you think to that idea in the comments. And if it's something that's really popular, I'll make sure it happens sooner rather than later. I've got two more questions before we end up tonight. So another question that I had was protection. How do I protect myself? How do I protect my home? How can I use magic and nature to help me achieve that? So there's a few ways that you can do this. One of my favorites is using wards and sigils. That can be a little bit complicated for some people though, and it's definitely not something that you would be doing right at the beginning of your journey as a new witch. Yes, Paul, yes. Cake is a great grounding technique, Marion. It's the best. Oh, Hannah, I really like your, oh yes, absolutely. Small ideas stitched with magic to create something wholly beautiful. Patchwork paganism. That is beautiful, Hannah. That's gorgeous. I really like that idea. Yes, Paul, techniques that I have taught you to reconnect and recenter yourself. Yeah. Oh, Nick. Yes, absolutely. Lily Lou, what are some tips when you can't focus during a spell? Okay. First of all, go back and recenter yourself and ground yourself. You should always be doing that before you do any focused, intentional, magical work like that. Making sure that you're grounded, that you're protected, and that you're centered in yourself are the ways to make sure that you will remain focused and that you will achieve the goal of getting the spell work done. So definitely make sure that before you do any spell work that you grow that root, that you protect yourself. I'm going to give you some tips on that in a minute, and that you're really centered in what you want. Sometimes not being able to focus on the work kind of means that we're not certain about it, that we're not 100% sure of whether we should be doing that. So take yourself into your center and just have a think about what you're doing, would be my next bit of advice. So protection and sigils would be a way to protect yourself. But like I said, that's quite complicated, especially for new witches. That's something that you learn a little bit further on down the line when you've learned things like energy raising and grounding and protection and things like that. So that is one way. Here's some good herbs that can be used for protection. I'm just going to keep up with the comments. 1 second. No problem, Lily. So herbs that can be used in protection work. Sage is a good one, not white sage. White sage is not actually meant for clearing and protection. It's meant to prepare a space ready for the divine to enter. So it is not actually for protection or cleansing. It is for divine space preparation. So please don't use white sage. Normal garden sage, green sage, anything that you can grow in your garden works just as well for protection. Rosemary can be burned, carried, or used in a ritual bath for yourself. So you can hang it outside your front door in a little wreath or something like that. That would help protect your home. You can grow it around your paths and doorways. You can burn it in sort of an incense, or you can add it to your skincare. It's very good for hair care, actually. Rosemary is really, really good. If you can get rosemary oil and add it to your conditioner or to like a leave-in mask or something like that, then it's really good for your hair. Lavender is one that I think people don't often associate with protection, but it's a very good protection herb. Definitely plant it outside your house. You can carry it, you can burn it, you can use it in your body products. It's really good for both home and self-protection. Another one is bay. Obviously well known for cooking with, but bay laurel, carry it or burn it in your space. Very, very good for protection. I've got a massive bay laurel bush right outside my front door, and nothing ever comes to hurt us. And the last herb that I would recommend for protection would be mugwort, but be careful with this one. It can be you need to know what you're doing to be able to use it effectively. You can drink it as a tea, or you can burn it in your space. And that really is about psychic protection. So protection from energies of all different kinds that you might not want in your space. You can use crystals as well. So black tourmaline is a great one that tends to reflect negative energy that you don't want in your space back out. You can use clear quartz to make sure that anything that comes through into your space is clean and clear. Pyrite is a great one to place near tech. The energy that emanates from tech, especially someone that works with energy on a regular basis, can be really affected one way or the other. So it can affect your tech, and your tech can affect you. So pyrite is a great one to have around your tech. So laptops and tablets and phones and things like that. And black obsidian you can use as a mirror. So black obsidian is a great one to use on the corners of your home, just to reflect out anything that you might not want in there. And for personal protection, if you're feeling the need for it, especially if you're in a space, I use this one a lot when I go to London. I love the big city in some ways. It's so vibrant and so diverse and so just rich and full of amazing energies, but that can also be really energy depleting for me. So when I'm in spaces where people are a bit hurried and a bit harassed, like the train station or the coffee shop when I'm queuing up for a drink or something like that, then I use something that I call an aura mirror. So I imagine the aura around my body, which is about the size of the length of your arms, which you can't really see on my camera here, but I'm trying to demonstrate. And you can imagine an aura on a mirror on the edge of that, which really reflects back all the energies that anyone might fire out to you, particularly in those situations. So it's a great one to use, and you can use it anywhere. So thank you for that question. I just have one more question to go through. I'm just going to pop along to the comments a minute. Just Just let it refresh. Show me the new ones. Yes, homegrown English sage, so much more of a witchy vibe, and we're not appropriating someone else's culture, which is so much better. Lavender is one of mine. Yes, a tea of rosemary and use it as a final rinse for his hair. Yes, absolutely. Black tourmaline in a few of your windows. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, grow plants. It's a great one. Spiky plants particularly. So things like holly and fir trees and things that have a kind of a point to them are very good for protection. Yes, black obsidian. London stresses you out. Yeah, it can get to me like that as well. No problem. So I just have one last question that was asked by Annie. And Annie said, have you got any courses coming up? Well, there's a whole world of new stuff that's going to be opening up this year that I've got to bring you. The first thing that's going to be launched in a couple of weeks' time is the Wheel of the Year Masterclass bundle. So you can come along to that. You can watch them in your own time. They'll be recorded for you. You'll have access to them on the website for life once you've bought them, and they will talk you through the main 8 festivals, the Wheel of the Year, and celebrating them and what to do with your natural practice or your witchcraft practice during that particular point in the year. So that one will be available. There's also a masterclass that's about to come called Using Your Innate Magical Healing Skills. So I've just got to record that one and get it on the website, and then that one will be live as well. There's going to be a live program in the summer. So you'll be joining me on Zoom. I haven't decided how many weeks it's for yet, but we'll be working with elemental magic. I'm currently working through the membership that I will be opening in May. I think it'll be either the end of May or the beginning of June. And in between that, I will be dropping information about other things that I'll be doing as well. And one thing that you can do from May is you can join me for tarot readings face-to-face at Matlock, a place called the Room of Enchantment. I'm just going to drop the booking link in the comments for you, so you can come and have a tarot reading with me in person in Matlock, which is just a lovely place to be anyway, and the room is gorgeous, and you can come and have a reading with me and we'll have a chat through whatever you need some helpful tips and advice on. So there's the link for you folks. Just going to have a quick look at the comments before we finish up for this first episode of the show. Thank you very much. Yes, my tattoo is beautiful. My cousin designed it for me. So thank you all very much for joining me this evening. Next week, we will be talking about spring magic. And I'm going to have a guest on the show with me. So that will be Chrissy Elliott. She's been a practicing pagan for almost 40 years. She's a 3rd degree Wiccan high priestess with Gardnerian, Alexandrian and Roma initiative lineages. She describes herself as a chaos witch though, since she uses whatever items are to hand and whatever method is most suitable for her magic at the time. She's got a close working relationship with Norse deities since they threw themselves into her life about 6 years ago, but she explores techniques from all over the world if they fit appropriately with the work she's doing. She lives in Glastonbury with variable number of black cats and has a day job as a civil servant, which she claims keeps her balanced. So Chrissy will be joining us next week to talk about spring magic. What can you do through the season of spring in your magic practice? What can you be doing for yourself and to achieve with your practice? So I hope you'll join me next week. This will go live on YouTube tomorrow, so you'll be able to watch it back. This episode will stay on my wall until next Friday, and then I will take it down ready for the new episode. So watch out for the post to ask your questions in the middle of the week at some point, and I will see you all next week. thank you very much for joining me. Night all.